You think you own me because you pay my salary? The maid asked, her voice flat. The woman stared, shocked. I haven't paid you in 6 months. You own nothing. The maid smiled, a slow, cold expression. My father owns your bank. This story is about a wealthy housewife in Kuwait who withholds her Filipina maid's wages for months. Unaware, the maid is secretly gathering evidence to expose her as part of a larger investigation into the treatment of migrant workers. Before continuing, if you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter their job, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Lena sat on the edge of the narrow cot in the small room. The single bare bowl cast harsh shadows. She pulled a loose thread from the hem of her worn uniform. Her fingers worked carefully, pushing a tiny metal pin through the fabric near the collar. She adjusted the small lens on the pin's surface. It was almost invisible against the dark blue cloth. She held a small device in her palm, watching the tiny screen flicker to life. The view was shaky, showing the gray wall of her room. She whispered into the pin, her voice low. Test 1, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Father, are you receiving? A faint crackle came back. Lena, signal strong. Proceed with caution. Remember the deadline. She nodded, though her father couldn't see. I remember. She tucked the device under her pillow. A sharp rap sounded on the door. Lena, coffee, now. Are you sleeping? Noura's voice was sharp, impatient. Lena quickly smoothed her uniform, adjusting the pin. She stood up, her movements practiced. The door burst open before she reached it. Noura stood there, eyes narrowed. Lazy girl, 5 minutes I've waited. Do you think this is a hotel? She raised her hand and slapped Lena across the cheek. The force of the blow made Lena stumble back. Her hand instinctively went to the pin, her fingers brushing against it. It was still in place. She kept her face blank, showing no reaction. I am sorry, madam, Lena said, her voice steady despite the sting on her cheek. I will make the coffee immediately. Noura scoffed. Move, and be quick about it. She stepped aside, watching Lena as she walked out of the room towards the kitchen. Lena felt a faint vibration of the pin against her skin. It was recording everything. The sting on her cheek was a small price. Noura sat at the large dining table, sipping her coffee. Lena stood nearby, ready to serve. On the table, a stack of crisp bills sat next to a small, ornate safe. Noura counted the money slowly, fanning the bills out. Look at this, Noura said, not looking at Lena. So much money. And you contribute nothing. Lena remained silent. Noura finished counting and began placing the money into the safe. Madam, Lena said softly, my salary for this month and the past 5 months. Noura slammed the safe door shut. A sound echoed in the large room. Salary? You think you've earned a salary? She turned to face Lena, her expression hard. You break things. You are slow. You use too much electricity. You owe me for your mistakes. But madam, the agreement, Lena started. Noura picked up a porcelain plate from the table and threw it across the room. It shattered against the wall. Clean this first, Noura shrieked. Then maybe we will talk about agreements. Lena flinched but did not move. She looked at the broken pieces on the floor, then back at Noura. Noura watched her, a smirk on her face. Lena slowly walked towards the broken plate, her eyes scanning the mess. Her hand, hidden from Noura's view, touched the pin. It was recording the sound of the shattering porcelain, Noura's angry words. She knelt down, carefully picking up the larger pieces. The pin captured Noura, walking back to the safe, opening it again, and placing more money inside. Noura closed the safe and locked it with a key she wore around her neck. She glanced at Lena, still kneeling on the floor. Hurry up, my friends are coming soon. Lena nodded, gathering the last of the shards. From the corner of her eye, she saw Karim, Noura's husband, standing in the hallway archway. He wasn't looking at Noura. He was looking at Lena. His expression was unreadable, a mix of curiosity and something else Lena couldn't quite place. He didn't say anything, just watched for a moment, then turned and walked away. Later that day, Noura sent Lena to the market to buy fresh vegetables. As Lena walked through the crowded aisles, she saw another maid, a young woman from Nepal, sitting on a crate, crying softly. Lena stopped. Are you okay? She asked in English. The Nepalese maid looked up, her eyes red. They took her, she whispered, her voice trembling. Who? Lena asked. My friend. From the next villa. The police came. They said she had no papers. She looked around nervously. But she had papers. Her sponsor. He took them. And her passport. They own our passports. We're trapped. Lena knelt beside her. She thought of her own mission. The risks she was taking not just for herself, but for others like this woman. Not if the world sees, Lena said, her voice quiet but firm. If people see what is happening, they cannot ignore it. The maid looked at her, confused. See what? We are invisible. Not everyone, Lena said. She adjusted the pin on her uniform. Sometimes Sometimes someone has to make them see. As they talked, a large car pulled up nearby. Noura stepped out, spotting Lena immediately. Lena, what are you doing? Gossiping again? Noura strode towards them, her face set in a frown. The Nepalese maid quickly stood up, her eyes wide with fear, and hurried away into the crowd. Noura grabbed Lena's arm, her grip tight. I send you for food, and you waste time talking to street trash? She yanked Lena forward. Come, we are going home. Now, Lena stumbled, trying to keep up with Noura's rapid pace. As Noura dragged her away, Lena glanced back. The Nepalese maid was gone, but on the crate where she had been sitting, a small, folded piece of paper lay. Lena wished she could go back, but Noura's grip was too strong. As they reached the car, Noura shoved Lena into the back seat. Lena saw the Nepalese maid's note wasn't on the crate anymore. Someone else had picked it up. She hoped it wasn't Karim. Just as the thought crossed her mind, the car door slammed shut. That evening, Noura hosted a dinner party. The villa was filled with loud chatter and the clinking of glasses. Lena moved through the crowded rooms, carrying trays of food and drinks. She kept her head down, her eyes scanning the faces. Her pin was working, recording the sounds, the voices, the atmosphere of casual opulence. Noura, dressed in a flowing, expensive abaya, laughed loudly with her guests. She pointed at Lena as she passed. This one cost less than my handbag, Noura said, and her guests chuckled. Lena felt a familiar tightening in her chest, but kept her expression neutral. She served a woman who smiled kindly at her. It was the human rights lawyer Lena had heard about. The lawyer watched Lena with a curious, searching gaze. As Lena offered a tray of appetizers to a group of men, one of them, a large man with a loud voice, reached for a pastry and accidentally knocked over a large, ornate vase on a pedestal. It crashed to the marble floor, shattering into countless pieces. A gasp went through the room. Noura rushed over, her face pale with anger. She looked at the broken vase. Then her eyes landed on Lena. You! Noura shrieked. You clumsy girl. Look what you've done! Lena froze. Madam, it was not me. It was— Silence, Noura cut her off. It was your fault for being too close. Your salary will cover this. Maybe in 10 years. The large man who had actually knocked it over just laughed. Filipinas are so clumsy, he said, and some guests chuckled again. The lawyer watched, her smile gone, her eyes fixed on Lena. Noura turned back to her guests, forcing a smile. Please, enjoy yourselves. The maid will clean this mess. She leaned closer to Lena, her voice low and venomous. You will pay for this. No wages until you repay me for the vase. Understand? Lena nodded slowly. Her hand went to the pin. It had captured everything. The laughter, the accusation, the declaration of withheld wages. This was it. The catalyst. The moment that escalated everything. Later, after the guests had left and the villa was quiet, Lena slid out of her room. She needed to contact her father, send him the footage from the party. She walked quickly through the dark streets to a small shop with an old payphone outside. She dialed the encrypted number her father had given her. It rang twice, then connected. Father, she whispered into the receiver. Lena, are you safe? His voice came back, slightly distorted. Yes, for now. But things, they are worse. The vase. She says, I must pay for it. No salary until I do. That is unacceptable, her father said. Lena, this has gone far enough. Come home. We will fight this another way. Legally. From here. Lena leaned her head against the cold metal of the payphone booth. Not yet, father. She is worse than we thought. And very— Karim, her husband, the other maid, she left a note. It warned me about him, and he was watching me today. He knows something is not right. There was a pause on the line. Karim is dangerous, Lena. My sources say he is involved in other things. Other things. Not just business. This is too risky. Abort the mission. Come home now. Lena closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of the Nepalese maid, of all the others trapped like her. I can't, father. Not yet. The lawyer at the party. She saw. I think she suspects. Maybe she can help us here. I need a little more time. Just a few more days. I have the footage from tonight. It's strong. Her father sighed. All right, Lena. 3 more days. But if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you leave immediately. We will handle it. Thank you, father, Lena said. I will be careful. She hung up the phone. As she turned to leave the booth, a shadow moved nearby. Karim stepped out of the darkness. He was holding a small bag. Talking to your boyfriend? He asked, his voice smooth, but his eyes were cold. Lena's heart pounded. No, sir. Just a friend. Karim walked closer. He reached into the bag and pulled out a thick wad of cash. He dropped it onto the small shelf in the payphone booth. For your silence, he said. Forget what you see. Forget what you hear. This is just the first payment. Lena stared at the money. It was far more than 6 months of her maid's salary. It was a fortune. A test. A trap. A trap. I don't understand, Lena said, keeping her voice innocent. Karim smiled. A thin, unpleasant smile. Oh, I think think you do? Don't call your friend again. Call me if you need more. He turned and walked away. Lena watched him go, her mind racing. She looked at the money, then at the payphone. She reached out and picked up the wad of cash. It felt heavy in her hand. She didn't put it in her pocket. Instead, she carefully placed it back on the shelf where Kareem had left it. She wouldn't touch his dirty money. Not now. Not ever. She turned and walked back towards the villa, the pin pressing against her skin. The mission had just become much more complicated. Kareem was not just a silent observer. He was actively involved, and he suspected her. Lena walked back to the villa. The night air was cool. She felt the weight of Kareem's eyes on her back. Even after he was gone, the pin felt cold against her skin. She reached the villa gate and slid inside. She went straight to her room. She took off her uniform and carefully removed the pin. She connected it to the small device under her pillow. She watched the screen. The recording was there. Noura's shouting, the vase shattering, the laughter, Noura's threat about the wages, and Kareem's voice at the payphone. His offer, his threat. She copied the files to a small USB drive she kept hidden in her sock. She held the USB drive in her hand. It felt fragile. All of it. Everything she had gathered was on this tiny stick. She needed to get it to her father's contact. The next day, Lena received an unexpected message on a disposable phone her father had given her. It was encrypted. She read it quickly in the quiet of her room. It was from her father. It said Kareem was not just a businessman. He was involved in human trafficking. It said the danger was higher than they thought. The message ended with a direct order. Abort mission. Extraction planned for tomorrow night. Lena read the message again. Kareem. Trafficking the missing Nepalese maid. The note warning her about him. It all clicked into place. She typed a reply. Need 3 more days. Lawyer here might help. Evidence stronger now. She sent the message and destroyed the phone. 3 days. Could she get the evidence she needed in 3 days? She thought of the Nepalese maid, of the ledger she had seen in Kareem's office. She had to try. Lena went to the market again that afternoon. She needed to find the Nepalese maid's friend, the Sri Lankan worker. She searched the usual spots where the maids gathered. She found the Sri Lankan woman sitting alone, peeling potatoes. Lena approached her carefully. Excuse me, Lena said softly. The girl from Nepal. Have you seen her? The Sri Lankan worker looked up, her eyes fearful. Gone, she whispered. It took her. The police. Because she had no papers, she looked around nervously. But she had papers, Lena said. The worker leaned closer. Her sponsor was a prominent figure. He took them, and others, many others, gone to the police. Or somewhere else. She lowered her voice further. I found this. She pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. It was a list of names. Underneath, written in shaky handwriting, were dates, and next to some dates, cities. Dubai, Doha, Riyadh. Lena took the paper. It was a ledger of missing workers. The worker pointed to the name at the top. My sister. Gone last month. Lena felt a cold knot form in her stomach. This wasn't just about unpaid wages. This was bigger. Much bigger. Do you know where this came from? Lena asked. The worker shook her head. Found it under the mattress in the dormitory, hidden. Lena looked at the list of names. So many names. She folded the paper carefully and put it in her pocket. This ledger was crucial. It wasn't just Noura. It was Kareem. It was a network. That night, Noura hosted another dinner. More guests, more laughter, more expensive clothes. Lena served, moving through the rooms like a shadow. She kept her pin adjusted, the camera rolling. She watched the lawyer from the last party. The lawyer was watching her too, discreetly. Noura was in fine form, bragging loudly. This maid, Noura said, gesturing towards Lena with her fork. She is very cheap. Less than my handbag, a guest laughed. The lawyer's smile tightened. How many hours does she work daily? The lawyer asked, her voice clear. Noura waved a dismissive hand. Oh, many. All the time. They don't need sleep, these ones. The lawyer nodded slowly, her eyes meeting Lena's for a brief moment. Lena looked away, continuing to serve. She felt a slight tug on her uniform. Kareem was standing close, holding a glass of red wine. Clumsy, he said, and deliberately tipped the glass. Wine spilled onto Lena's uniform, soaking the fabric near the pin. Oh, sorry, Kareem said, but his eyes were sharp, watching her reaction. He was testing the pin. Lena didn't flinch. She kept her face blank. It is all right, sir, she said. I will clean it. She moved away, her heart pounding. The pin felt wet. Was it damaged? Was he sure? Later, after the party, when the villa was quiet, Lena went to Kareem's office. She had seen him go there earlier. She used a small tool tool to pick the lock. The door clicked open. Inside, the office was dark and smelled of cigars and expensive cologne. She turned on a small flashlight. She went to his desk. She remembered seeing a larger ledger there when she had seen the missing worker list. She found it in a locked drawer. She used another tool to open it. Inside was a thick book. She opened it. It was a detailed record of workers, their sponsors, their payments, and transfers to accounts in Dubai and other cities. This was it. Proof of the trafficking. She quickly took photos of the relevant pages with a small camera hidden in her watch. She heard a noise. Footsteps in the hallway. She froze. The door opened. Kareem stood there, silhouetted in the light from the hallway. "Looking for a raise?" he asked, his voice low. Lena's mind raced. "No, sir," she said quickly. "Madam sent me. She said she left her perfume in here." Kareem walked into the room. He didn't turn on the light. He came closer. He reached out and touched her hair. He sniffed. "You smell expensive," he said, not like a maid. He was testing her again. He knew. He had to know. "It is Madam's perfume," Lena said, her voice trembling slightly. Kareem smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "Of course," he said. He stepped back. "Get out and don't come in here again." Lena nodded, her hand tight around the watch. She backed out of the office, leaving the ledger where it was. She closed the door quietly. She walked quickly back to her room. She had the photos. It wasn't the full ledger, but it was enough to link him. Kareem cornered Lena in the garage the next morning. He leaned against his car, watching her as she swept the floor. "So," he said, his voice casual, "the billionaire's daughter, playing maid." Lena stopped sweeping. She didn't look surprised. She had expected this. "How did you know?" she asked, her voice calm. Kareem laughed softly. "Your father is not a quiet man, and you are not a good maid. Too clean, too smart." He pushed off the car. "We have a problem, you and I. You have seen things that could make me uncomfortable." He walked closer. "But I am a reasonable man. You want justice? You want to expose my wife? Fine. I don't care about her. But you stay away from my business. The other business." He paused. "And you give me once, let's say, $10 million US, a small price for your life and your family's reputation." Lena looked at him. "You would betray your own wife?" Kareem shrugged. "She is your enemy too. We have common interests." He pulled a burner phone from his pocket. "Call your father. Tell him the price, or I sell you to my friends in Dubai. They like rich girls who think they are clever." He held out the phone. Lena looked at the phone, then at Kareem. She reached out and took the phone. "All right," she said. "I agree." A flicker of surprise crossed Kareem's face. He hadn't expected her to agree so easily. "Good girl," he said. He turned, satisfied. As he turned, Lena's eyes darted to a toolbox on the wall. She saw a screwdriver. She quickly pocketed it. She held the phone in her hand. She didn't call her father. She pretended to dial, watching Kareem. She looked at the number displayed on the screen. A Dubai area code. She memorized the number. This wasn't a false victory. This was a new layer of the trap. Her life was on the line now. Nora found Lena in the kitchen later that day. Nora's face was contorted with rage. She was holding a stack of papers. The dossier. Kareem had leaked it. "You think you can spy on me? Bint el Millionaire?" Nora shrieked, waving the papers. "Living in my house, eating my food, and you are a spy?" Lena stood tall. She didn't deny it. "I think you've stolen from 17 maids," Lena said, her voice steady. 6 months of wages from me, years of wages from others. "The courts will decide." Nora lunged forward, tearing the papers into pieces. "Courts? Hold on. Are you kidding me? Are you deaf? Are you seriously calling for courts? Where's the yes? And why is it? And why are you killing for the courts?" "Alcohol. Overstock." "What about this? Not a problem. Alcohol. Is that even true? There are no courts for the likes of you. I will have you arrested, deported. You will never see your precious money again." She threw the shredded papers at Lena. Lena didn't flinch. As Nora raged, Lena subtly shifted her weight, ensuring the small USB drive hidden in her sock remained secure. Nora missed it in her fury. The kitchen felt smaller, the air thick with Nora's anger. Broken porcelain from the vase incident still sat in a pile in the corner, a symbol of Nora's shattered control. Nora and Kareem came to Lena's room. They began tearing it apart. They threw her meager belongings onto the floor. "Where is it?" Nora demanded. "Where is the camera? The recordings?" Kareem found the uniform pin. He held it up. "Here," he said. The little toy. He crushed it in his hand. They overturned the mattress, ripped open the pillow. "The backup drive!" Nora yelled. She must have a backup. Lena stood in the doorway, watching them. She had already uploaded the footage and photos to her father's secure server from a public Wi-Fi spot. Earlier, the USB drive was gone, delivered to the lawyer, but the pin was gone. The immediate evidence was compromised. Meanwhile, across town, the human rights lawyer met with a contact. She handed over the USB drive Lena had given her. "This is everything," the lawyer said. "Wage theft, abuse, abuse and abuse. And this. She showed the contact, the audio recording of Kareem admitting to trafficking. He's involved in something much bigger. The contact nodded. This is enough. We can move. The lawyer smiled. She discreetly slid a small, flat device into Kareem's jacket pocket as he walked past her table in the cafe. A tracker. Back at the villa, Noura was still furious. She grabbed a can of lighter fluid from the garage. She poured it around Lena's room. You wanna burn me? Lena asked, coughing from the fumes. Burn with your evidence, Noura shrieked, throwing a lit match into the room. Flames erupted. Lena stumbled back. Smoke filled the air. She had left the ledger of missing workers hidden under a loose floorboard. She had to get it. She ran into the burning room, shielding her face. The heat was intense. She ripped up the floorboard, grabbed the ledger. She saw the USB drive lying on the floor near where the pin had been. She lunged for it, but the flames were too high. She had to get out. She ran to the small window, smashed the glass with the screwdriver she had taken from the garage. Burn with your evidence, Noura yelled again from outside. Lena coughed, smoke burning her lungs. You just signed your confession, Lena yelled back. She climbed through the broken window, falling onto the ground outside. The flames were spreading, reaching Noura's prized designer closet, built right next to Lena's room. Noura shrieked, not in anger, but in panic. Her clothes, her shoes. Lena lay on the ground, coughing, clutching the ledger. She had lost the USB, but she had the ledger, the names, the proof of the other business. Lena woke up in a hospital bed. Her arms were bandaged, her throat sore from the smoke. Her father sat beside her, holding her hand. You are safe now, Lena, he said. A lawyer, the same one from the party, stood nearby. We recovered some of the footage, the lawyer said, showing Lena a tablet. It was shaky, smoke-filled, but Noura's voice, her confession about setting the fire, was clear. It survived, Lena whispered. The ledger is now. I have the ledger. She reached for it. Her father held it up. It was singed, but readable. Their names will be heard, he said. Lena closed her eyes. She had almost died. She had lost some evidence. Had it been worth it? Had she failed the others? A nurse came in. Visiting hours are over, she said, and Madame Al-Farsi needs her rest. She gestured down the hall. Lena looked. Noura was in a room further down, a police officer standing guard outside. She was handcuffed to the bed. Before continuing, with everything on the line, what choice would you make? Answer in the comments. Lena's family held a press conference. Lena, still bandaged, sat beside her father and the lawyer. The lawyer spoke first, presenting the recovered footage, the ledger, the evidence of wage theft and trafficking. Journalists scribbled notes. Cameras flashed. Lena then spoke, her voice raspy but firm. She told her story. She played Noura's tirades, her laughter, her threats. The room was silent as the audio filled the air. Why risk your life? A reporter asked. Lena looked directly at the cameras. Because dignity has no price. Kuwaiti activists in the audience cheered. As Lena finished speaking, a young man pushed through the crowd. It was Noura's son. He walked up to the table and placed a USB drive next to Lena. My mother is a monster, he said, his voice shaking. But others are worse. He turned to the journalists. This has more from my father's computer, more names, more cities. He walked away. The stakes had just been raised again. Legal, precedent, systemic change. Weeks later, Noura's villa was being auctioned off. People walked through the lavish rooms, pointing at furniture, artwork, everything that had once been Noura's. Lena walked through the empty halls. The marble floors were bare. The walls seemed to echo with the past. She went to where the safe room had been. The safe was gone, taken by the court. She looked inside the empty space in the wall. Something was stuck in the back. She reached in and pulled it out. A single crumpled piece of paper. An unpaid wage slip for 1 month for a maid whose name wasn't Lena. Noura had kept it. A trophy? A trophy? A reminder? Lena held it in her hand. You kept nothing but what you stole, Lena whispered to the empty room. The auctioneer's voice boomed from another room. Sold to the Dela Cruz Foundation. Lena's family had bought the villa. As Lena walked towards the front door, a truck pulled up outside. A woman got out, carrying a small suitcase. A new maid. She looked nervous. She looked at Lena, then at the villa. Lena gave her a small, knowing nod. The new maid nodded back. On her uniform, near the collar, a small pin glinted in the sunlight. Lena watched a news report on a public screen in the city square. The news anchor spoke about new labor laws being debated in Parliament, reforms sparked by recent evidence. The screen showed footage of a protest, maids holding signs with names from the ledger. It showed Noura, dressed in a simple uniform, sweeping streets as part of her community service sentence. Kareem's face flashed on the screen. His trial was starting tomorrow. Lena walked to a memorial wall near the labor ministry. It was covered with photos of missing workers. She took her old, singed uniform from her bag. She pinned it to the wall next to the photos. She attached the unpaid wage slip she found in the safe. Reforms sparked by one woman's evidence, the news anchor said. Lena touched the uniform, the names on the wall, and their courage, she whispered. The fight wasn't over. It had just begun.